Like the attention, girl, I know you. But you're everything I want in life. We're fighting danger like Kung Fu. The love I feel is deep inside. The others don't matter. It's honestly us against the world. We're the perfect team. You're my dream, and I just want it. Can't get to myself. Can't get to myself. Can't get to myself. To myself. Can't get to myself. Can't get to myself. Can't get to myself. To myself. Can't get to myself. Can't get to myself. To myself. Can't get to myself. Can't get to myself. Can't get to myself.
How's it going, everybody? It's Pilot Flame, and we are back with another Game Week preview. Game Week 33 still isn't over. There's still one more game tomorrow between Everton and Spurs. But we gotta go. We gotta do the stream because obviously the games are coming pretty quick. The next game week starts on Tuesday, so a day after the last game ends. So I felt that it was better to do the stream now because there was a lot of games already been played, and not many people have Spurs or Everton assets, at least for the time being, because there could be potential fixtures that basically anyone who playing against Bournemouth seems to score a lot of goals against them. Whether you're Newcastle or Manchester United, you seem to score a lot of goals versus them. So let's us get into the team. There we go. I got my team up on the screen for you. We had 75 points. Our current game week rank is just under 350k. Overall rank is just under 30k. That'll probably go up before the week's out because obviously there's still players for Everton and Spurs that have to play that I won't have in my team or not be able to play because all my players have played. We end up with 75 points, which is quite good, being that the top 10k average is around 60 or so. That could obviously go up slightly because obviously the two people that I'd be worried about not owning was Jamie Vardy, Aubameyang versus Wolves, Jimenez, who is versus Arsenal because I free hitted him out, and then Harry Kane would be the other one. So I think it's probably going to end up working fine. In some of my other leagues, I'm quite close. You know, I'm still at the top, but you know, it's getting quite close in some of them. So yeah, could be very interesting. So that's the team up on the screen there. That was the free hit team that I chose to go with. If you watched my video the night before the first game week on Saturday, you would have noticed that there's only one change from that, and basically it was I swapped Lamptey in for Peters from Burnley. And that was mainly because I got early team news, and just in case like De Bruyne didn't play or that sort of thing, then Lamptey would come in as a sub. I kind of wish De Bruyne didn't play because he was basically playing CDM for the rest of the game when he did come on, and for some reason Pep hooked Mahrez and Sterling, his only two real wingers apart from Foden, off. Didn't take off either of the Silvers, who had basically misplaced a lot of passes and just weren't providing much threat at all. And then he brought on De Bruyne and Foden. So he basically took off wingers to cross the ball into the box from deeper, which made no sense because you needed to have a bit more guile because they were basically kind of compacted inside the box, Southampton, and you kind of have to spread them out or force them to make the wrong moves. And I think Sterling and Mars are able to do that. One moment of brilliance. I think you probably would have basically sacked either Bernardo or David Silva for De Bruyne, and then you could have brought in Foden for the other one. I can see argument for taking off Mars or Sterling, but nonetheless, that is kind of how things go sometimes. Our back line did quite good. Ederson, obviously, he conceded a goal, and basically it wasn't his own fault, really. It was Zinchenko trying to do whatever he was doing, and then obviously Ederson playing out of his goal because he's waiting for a potential back pass if needed. He obviously got chipped, so that's kind of unfortunate. He got us 3 points, which is the same as Foster, same as Pope, I believe, as well. Pope either got 2 or 3 as far as I know, because he also conceded to Sheffield United. Ederson ended up getting us more than what Patricio would have gotten, so that's good too. And then our back line was fantastic. 6, 7, and 8 points. What more can you ask for? Dunk was obviously a great buy. I was a bit nervy watching the early kickoff there, but nonetheless worked out quite fine. Van Dijk and Trent obviously did what they needed to do. Salah obviously only got us an assist, not the end of the world. We already spoke about Mars and De Bruyne. Mars getting taken off before getting that extra point. It's kind of a kind of hide behind the couch moment and just, sob basically. This is not great. That extra point could be quite crucial come to the end of the season. And obviously De Bruyne obviously only getting 1, but the week started off really well because obviously I had Duncan Connolly who got me 10 points between 2 players. Fantastic. Average of 5 points. Fantastic. And then United players went absolutely ballistic. Obviously I wish I would have Captain Fernandez, but nonetheless, got some pretty good points in there, and I'm so happy that he gave the penalty to Rashford, because this could spur him on, which helps the team out greatly. Hey Jones, how's it going? 60 points from Charleston still to play. I'm actually intrigued as to see what he's going to do, as well as Calvert-Lewin, because they're still in my team. I still have Son in my team, so I'm still looking at things tomorrow, and it may require me to make some hits depending on how they play. If Richarlison maybe comes back from his knock and plays but then gets re-injured, I may have to think of something else there. So we're going to have to kind of take a look-see at that game. But I know there's going to be one transfer that I'm actually going to make tonight for sure. And we'll get to that in a bit. And like I said, the United players I was happy with. In hindsight, I think it would have been better to use my free hit and gone with the team that I did on my wild card for that game week, and then basically wild card for this game week, and I would have gone with something similar to this. I wouldn't have probably got in the Brighton players. I probably would have kept, maybe a Wolves defender. Maybe I would have got a Burnley defender in. Maybe Sheffield United, potentially. I don't know. But the team would have looked something similar to this. I probably would have got Mahrez in. I probably wouldn't have gone with Ederson. I would have gone with like Fabianski or Foster or something maybe. Or maybe I would have gone with a rotating goalkeeper. I'm not too sure. Maybe even Martinez would have been on the table. I would have had to see how it would have played out. But, no, I'm pretty happy with the team overall. And Nketiah getting 2 points. He's obviously, showing that he can play well. He didn't score, but, not the end of the world. Not the end of the world. And then, obviously, Taylor was just bench fodder. So I was hoping that basically those two weren't coming in. So yeah. And then now let's get on to see how we did in the score predictions. Let's see how we did in the score predictions. So let's just bring these across. Got my tweet here. Everyone should be able to see that. So I basically predicted that Brighton would beat Norwich 2-0. They ended up winning 1-0. So the way our scoring system kind of works, there was basically, if I get the exact score right, so if it was 2-0, I would get 3 points. If there was just the result was right, so they do get the win, and I predicted a win of some kind, then I get 1 point. And if I get the thing completely wrong, then I get 0 points. So in this case, I would get 1 point for this result here. Is the pen yellow? Nope. Gotta make it a line pen. There we go. So 1 point for there. Don't get any points for the 2-2 draw because it ended up being a Leicester win. Predicted United 3-0. They end up winning 5-2, so I get 1 point there. I predicted a Wolves win 2-1. They didn't win. They lost 2-0 to Arsenal, so no points there. I predicted a Chelsea 2-1 win. They did end up winning, but it wasn't 2-1, so I still only get 1 point there. I said Sheffield United would win 2-1. It was actually a draw between those two, so no points there. And I said Newcastle would also win. That didn't really happen. Mind you, they did come back, so they showed a bit of guile. Liverpool beat Aston Villa 3-0. They beat them 2-0. I said 3-0, so I only get 1 point there. City lost to Southampton, so that 3-1 prediction was completely wrong. And then I have, obviously, Spurs, who I have is down to be 2-2, but that obviously hasn't played yet, so we'll just assume that I get that one wrong. So I only got 1, 2, 3, 4 results right. That's not very good. We're going to have to pick it up for next week. We did get the Brighton clean sheet, however. Matt Ryan was very good in the game week. Stevens didn't get the header, so he wasn't great. Mars was terrible, and then Rashford scored. So we got 3 out of 5 there. So overall, not too bad. Not too bad at all. Just give me 1 second here. Just checking something real quick. All right. Moving on to this week's predictions. Here we go. So I'm just going to put these over these because these are the same fixtures up here. So we have Crystal Palace versus Chelsea. Now, Chelsea obviously getting a 3-0 win versus Watford, who's in the bottom 5 teams. Crystal Palace obviously didn't get what they wanted. Obviously losing to Leicester. Could they pick it back up against Chelsea? Potentially. But let's, could be a very tough game. I think it could be, very close. So I'm going to go with the Chelsea 2-1 win. I think they should be able to nick that one. Watford, I think Watford should win 2-0. I don't think anyone is conceding to Norwich, and if you do, that's bad, basically, because Norwich are 20th, and they're definitely going down. And I think that, Watford needs the win, basically. They're going to have to win. So hopefully they can get that for their sake. Arsenal versus Leicester is an intriguing one. I think this one could be quite open, especially for the likes of Aubameyang and Vardy. So it could be a bit of a score fest. I think I'm going to take... Am I actually going to predict Arsenal in this one? I'm not too sure. I'm going to sit on the fence on this one. I'm going to say it's 2-2 because both their defenses haven't been fantastic. So I think it's going to be a draw there. Man City, I think, will pick it back up versus Newcastle. They might concede early, and then they'll probably, kick it into gear and end up getting the win as needed. Wolves versus Sheffield United. Now, this could be a very intriguing one. Wolves obviously not scoring versus Arsenal. Sheffield United having to score late. I think both defenses are very formidable. I can see this. I don't usually predict this very often, but I can see this being a 0-0 draw, which is favorable for my fantasy team because I have a couple of their players lined up for clean sheets for that one. West Ham versus Burnley. I think this could be interesting as well. I don't think West Ham would want to lose this game. They showed that they could at least beat the likes of Newcastle. Obviously, Newcastle did end up drawing with them and having to come back, but they showed that they could potentially beat those teams, rather. And I think it'd probably end up being a 1-1 draw as well. Burnley always find a way to get a goal off a corner or something like that. Brighton obviously only beat Norwich 1-0. I think Liverpool would play better versus Norwich. I think Liverpool played, they played okay today. It wasn't fantastic, but I think they should be able to win this one. I think they'll keep a clean sheet as well. I think they'll just go with a standard 2-0 win as well. Moving on to Bournemouth versus Spurs. I think Spurs will probably concede, but I can see Spurs scoring a few goals in this one. I'm going to go with a 3-1 comfortable win for them. Everton versus Southampton. Now, this is another intriguing one because Southampton beat Man City today, but it would be just like them to go to Everton and just lose 2-0 or 3-0 or something like that. I think Everton's on good form. I think Southampton's on good form. I think they'll both score in this game, but I favor Everton 2-1 in this one. And then last but not least, I think Manchester United will keep a clean sheet versus Aston Villa. I just don't think Villa will score. I don't think they'll score as many goals as last week, but I still think they'll score quite a few. I think 3-0 is the scoreline that I'm going to go with. in terms of our key players or differentials or however you like to call them, I think the clean sheet this week is fairly obvious. It's Manchester United. The other one that I was probably going to go with was Watford versus Norwich. Basically, any team playing those teams, they're probably going to keep a clean sheet because they just can't seem to score. Moving on to goalkeeper, so we've gone with Ben Foster, who plays for Watford. He was obviously, it's these fixtures that everyone brought him in for mainly. And if he doesn't keep a clean sheet against Watford, well then you probably don't have a hope anyway. So we'll have to see how that kind of works out going forward. But I think he should be definitely, quite good. If you're on a free hit this week, I would definitely pick him over any other goalkeeper. Then we have Aaron Wan-Bissaka. I think he's going to be quite valuable. He should have had 3 assists in 3. I think the offside was so close. Unfortunately, VAR ruled it out, but it would have been 3 assists in 3. United probably would have kept a clean sheet if it wasn't for the center backs and the goalkeeper just up to their antics again, basically. De Gea getting beat at his near post almost twice. He definitely got beat for the first one. Harry Maguire getting nutmegged. Lindelof getting sucked into the wrong position. Shaw was out of position for the first goal. And then obviously Eric Bailly getting a ball pinged back to him and he tries to chest it but ends up hitting his arm according to VAR. But I think Wan-Bissaka is definitely a threat going forward. And he's shown that his delivery is definitely a lot better than what it was before. And then we'll combine the midfield and forwards together. Harry Kane and Heung-min Son. Basically anyone playing Bournemouth, you probably want to get them in because they're going to score a lot of goals. Even Spurs, who look like they park the bus every game under Jose Mourinho. But I think that is going to be the ones that I go with. So just going to show those all up on the screen there. So just to run it back. 2-1 win for Chelsea, I think, over Palace. 2-0 win for Watford over Norwich. A 2-2 draw between Arsenal and Leicester. 3-1 win for Man City over Newcastle. Draws for Sheffield United, Wolves, and West Ham and Burnley. Liverpool 2-0 win over Brighton. I think Tottenham's going to win 3-1 over Bournemouth. I think Everton will beat Southampton in a marginal 2-1 win. And I think Aston Villa will lose to Manchester United in a 3-0 defeat. So, let's take a look at the current team. So this is the team that I had going into the week previously, but I free hitted the team out. So this is kind of what we are looking at here. So we have Patricio in goal with Doherty and Jimenez for our Wolves players. We also have the Man United triple up in Wan-Bissaka, Fernandes, and Pogba currently. We have Trent Alexander-Arnold and Mohamed Salah for Liverpool, Salah being our vice-captain. We have double Everton at home to Southampton and Richarlison and Calvert-Lewin. This yellow flag on Richarlison is just because he had a knock, basically. We have Son away to Bournemouth. We have, obviously, Fernandes with captaincy. And then on the bench, obviously, we have Nketiah, Lascelles, who we hope doesn't have to come in versus Man City. And Ngakia doesn't play for the club anymore because his contract ran out. And then obviously Martin doesn't play either because he's a backup goalkeeper. So I would be perfectly happy going into the game week with this team. The only person that I wouldn't be happy with personally is Paul Pogba, just because he's playing a lot deeper of a role. He's being the assist of the assister, which in fantasy doesn't get you anything unless you get some type of return, in which case your BPS gets higher. So I'm definitely thinking about the captaincy on Fernandes, even potentially the triple captaincy on Fernandes this week versus Villa. I think that if you're looking at the fixtures itself, we can take a look at them. The games that you're kind of looking at is basically anyone who's going to play Norwich or Bournemouth. Spurs I don't necessarily trust, even though I have Son this week, and it's kind of a testing ground. Man United versus Villa is one. There's arguments for Liverpool versus Brighton, but they don't look like as explosive. City versus Brighton is probably okay. United versus Southampton is probably not as good. West Ham, obviously, I don't trust. Chelsea versus Norwich could be one. Maybe Pulisic or somebody like that. But again, Chelsea have their inconsistencies. City versus Bournemouth in game week 36 could be one. So that could be like a Kevin De Bruyne triple captain as well in that game week. So if you think De Bruyne plays, starts in game week 34, doesn't start in game week 35, starts in game week 36 potentially, you could be looking at a triple captaincy there. And then in Game Week 37. Not really too much there. Obviously, Liverpool and Chelsea play each other. Arsenal play Villa, but I'm not going to bring an Arsenal player just to triple captain them. That's kind of silly. Burnley play Norwich that week. Southampton, potentially, triple captain Danny Ings if you're feeling frisky. And then the last game of the game week, we have City versus Norwich. So that could be something that could be quite good as well. Potentially a De Bruyne one there. So basically 38, 36 for Man City. And this coming game week for Manchester United are kind of the ones that I'm looking at for the last remaining chip that we have. So, moving into the transfers. So I have 0.5 million in the bank. So, the players that I'm kind of looking at here. The players that I'm kind of looking at here are basically Kevin De Bruyne, Rashford / Greenwood. Also looking at the likes of Van Dijk as a replacement for Wan-Bissaka potentially if I get triple United. And then maybe the likes of Phil Foden. That could be basically the ones I'm kind of looking for. Those are the ones that are probably going to be the ones that I'm kind of pertaining to. Now the problem is that I have an issue where I want to keep Wan-Bissaka for this week because I think it could be a clean sheet. And if he does get another assist, it could be happy days. And if the United's defense starts to shore up a little bit, then I can be a little more comfortable with just having, Martial and Fernandes, who did the most damage for the most part, or at least were the most involved, apart from Mason Greenwood. So basically, the way I want my team to look at some point is basically I don't want Pogba in it. I don't want Wan-Bissaka in it. I don't think I want Salah after Burnley at home. So like Arsenal away, Chelsea at home, Newcastle away. I don't think I want Salah in those matchups. Jimenez is kind of putting me off just a little bit. I think Everton could be strong. Burnley away could cause them trouble. Crystal Palace could cause them trouble. And Chelsea versus Chelsea just doesn't look good. So maybe potentially something like these four are out. Son's a bit intriguing. But he does have Bournemouth away, which is good. He does have Arsenal at home, which could be good because it is a derby. Newcastle away is not great. Leicester at home, and Crystal Palace away is not great either. But I definitely want to keep Son in for this week. Son should stand for this week, same as Salah. So they're not going anywhere this week. Indefinitely. Now, if obviously Richarlison or if Calvert-Lewin blanks this coming game week, I'm definitely going to keep him for next game week. Mainly because he's up against a team that's going to want to attack, and he's obviously a lot better. Then they have Wolves away. He probably won't get anything. I hope he doesn't get anything because it'll be more points for my Wolves defense. And I could play, I think, Nketiah. Yeah, Nketiah plays Tottenham away, who could be quite good because they actually do leak goals. So I could play him over the likes of Calvert-Lewin. Yeah, I could play Richarlison versus them, but if Richarlison gets injured or something, then I could potentially take him out. But basically, what I'm looking at one point or another is I want obviously Kevin De Bruyne in the midfield. I either don't want Son or Salah, and I want Martial in there. So just assume Salah could be a City. It could be Sterling. It could be someone that's not Son as well. Down the back, I could have Holgate as an example because I like Everton's fixtures going forward. And then up front, I basically want Rashford or Greenwood at some point. But the main player that I'm worried about this week, that kind of tomorrow's games may determine what I do, is I want Kevin De Bruyne. Because you can guarantee he's starting this week coming up. He has to. If City don't start him, then they're crazy. So they should start him. Because he's kind of a good player. And how many goal involvements does he have this year? Yeah, 11 goals, 20 assists. Not bad, I think. 31 goal involvements he missed 2 games this season. So he's basically got a goal involvement every game on average, which is absolutely bonkers, right? And the one week I bring him in, he comes off the bench and does nothing. So, kind of how it works. But basically, I think the transfer that I'm going to do this week for sure is Pogba out for Martial, because I can't take any other player out other than Pogba or Fernandes without taking a hit to bring in Martial. Pogba's been playing more the deep-lying playmaker. He's only got 1 assist. He could have got more assists and that sort of thing, but I think Martial's just more involved, more focused in the attack. Martial got taken off as well, alongside Rashford, so they're going to be rested for the coming game weeks, and Aston Villa could provide a platform for Martial to excel in. Same for Rashford as well, same for Greenwood, same for Fernandes, which is why I'm considering a triple captaincy on either one of them. So I think that's the transfer that I'm going to do. I think I'm going to do it right now. So we'll hit make transfers, confirm that, because Pogba's not going up, but Martial could be. And I think the captaincy is going to be like that. So that's going to be the team that I'm going to play most likely. Now, if things change, let's say Richarlison gets injured, and we know his injury is bad, and he's not going to be playing the next game week, then that obviously significantly reduces the threat of Everton. So, what I could do is potentially downgrade or like change Richarlison to some type of City mid. So what would that look like? Well, it would be Richarlison out, and I would bring in, so Mars got hooked off a bit early. He's probably going to start. He could start the next game, and I would bring him in instead of Richarlison for a hit if I know Richarlison is going to be out. And then what I would strategize is I would then warp a plan. I would probably save my transfers, because then I would have, I would save Calvert-Lewin for, so he would play this game for me. I would save a transfer in this Wolves away game, and see how he kind of gets on, see how things go. And then I've had 2 transfers going into this game week, and then I basically could look to take out Wan-Bissaka, exchange him for some other defender, and swap maybe Jimenez for Rashford, as an example. So if I were to take out Jimenez, hypothetically, because Jimenez's next fixtures would be, I would have him for this game week, that game week, and then potentially the Burnley one. So that's obviously not great. I would have, I would bring in the likes of Rashford. Wan-Bissaka would come out. We would get a 4.5 defender. So Holgate, as an example, at 4.3 could be good, because Everton defensively have looked okay. We could look at other defenders. I'm just kind of spacing out on them at the moment. So like Kabasele started this game, didn't play the last game, but was quite consistent before that. You know, Cathcart didn't play this game, but like Max Aarons could just be someone that's just kind of on our bench, and we play like Lascelles as an example. So Lascelles from 36 onwards is not great. Obviously Spurs is, you know, Spurs at home. Spurs don't like teams that park the bus themselves, so that could be good. Brighton away could be good. Liverpool at home is obviously not fantastic, but if we had Aarons in, he would be playing City in game week 38. So maybe we could bring in, you know, Burnley. You know, Wolves at home is obviously not great, but Norwich away, fantastic. Brighton at home, that looks pretty good too. So maybe the likes of Taylor could be someone that we bring in instead of Holgate in there, and we basically look to do something like that. That could potentially be a prospect for next week if we have to, you know, for Richarlison, you know, doesn't recover from his injury, or, you know, Everton just don't show me anything versus Southampton or Spurs. I hope they don't do anything versus Spurs personally, because that means they're going to be hungrier for the Southampton game, and it's going to be a bit more competitive. I think this game stylistically will probably suit them better, just because they like, you know, teams that are a bit more open, where Spurs aren't going to be, even though they do concede goals, and they're not great from set pieces. So I just hope Dominic Calvert-Lewin just either gets dropped for this game and then comes back in this game, so that we can have him. That would be fantastic. But yeah, that's going to be the team for the current time being. Let's go back to my team. So yeah, I think the captaincies, it's going to be a triple captaincy or regular captaincy this week for Fernandez. He's just been obviously absolutely insane. So like I said, I like the fixture for Richarlison and Calvert-Lewin. This coming game week, we always have to monitor that because that could be, like I said, a transfer for him out. And then obviously if Salah doesn't perform in the Brighton game, and we don't think he's going to do it against, because then he has Burnley, who are keeping clean sheets left, right, and center. We have Arsenal, who just is obviously considered a Big Six team. Chelsea considered a Big Six team, which just recently beaten Man City. And then they have Newcastle. And Liverpool have always not been as explosive versus the teams that kind of sit back and kind of hold a low block as well. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see. At least later on in the season, they kind of struggle with it. But we'll have to kind of play it game by game. But I definitely think the transfer to Martial, even though it is kind of sideways in essence because it's a Man United player for a Man United player, I think Martial is going to be the closest person to the goal in most cases. Sometimes fading in off the left, but he's going to be the person closest to the goal. And I think basically if he's fit and available, and in this kind of form, him and Rashford start every game alongside Fernandez and Pogba. Like, they just have to play every game. And with Mason's form, he's going to play as well. So I think Martial is definitely the right move here, because Pogba's going to play a deep lying playmaker as well. You know, he's going to be the guy who's pinging the ball out to Rashford. Rashford's going to cut inside, lay the ball off to Martial. Martial's going to bang it in the back of the net. That's probably what's going to happen in most cases. You're very rarely going to see Rashford in over the top and Rashford straight on goal and Pogba gets the assist. In some cases, that could be Bruno as well. So we kind of take the 50-50 there. So I think this is going to be the team, and I think that's going to be it for this stream. So yeah, that's going to do it, I think, for this one here. Make sure to go check out our Game Week 34 Players to Watch video. That was out yesterday. This will go up on YouTube as soon as I have it up. Should be up in the next hour or so. So you can watch the whole VOD and check that out and kind of go through my decisions if you potentially missed anything. We're also going to be doing a buy, hold, sell video. That's going to be up tomorrow. It's probably going to be up... I'm going to try to see if I can get it up before the Spurs and Everton game tomorrow. And then what else do we have on the docket here? I'll have a captaincy video coming out because it's kind of an interesting topic for Game Week 35. We'll do the stream for Game Week 35 on Friday as well. And we'll also do a buy, hold, sell on the Thursday of this week as well. So that's going to do it. Make sure to follow the channel, like the videos over on YouTube. Make sure to subscribe over there as well if you're new. Make sure to follow us over here because we're going to be doing FPL gaming discussions like we always do every week. We much appreciate it. Also give us a follow over on Twitter, PilotFlame226 on all platforms. It's we have everything uniform except for the Twitch one, which is in lowercase, which is not the end of the world. But if you search PilotFlame226, you'll find all of my socials, which are all down below in the description, and I'll also post them in the chat just now as well. So, hope you all enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next one. Take care.
Come